I'm Chimwemwe Mangazi with Business Time on Times. It is a magazine program where we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines.
Insuring and saving with Old Mutual means growing crops, growing jobs, growing a future. Creating mutual futures, your money invested for the good of all. In the program today, Malawi Revenue Authority MRA challenged to triple its tax revenue collections. Also in the program, the electricity generation company Egenco says financing constraints affecting electricity generation development plans. We have these and other stories. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome. Minister of Finance Simplex Chalo has challenged the Malawi Revenue Authority MRA to triple its tax revenue collections in a bid to aid the government meet its expenditure needs. This follows a familiarization tour that the minister had of the Msonko House in Blantyre on Tuesday. We have more in this report.
Currently, the MRA collects on average 150 billion a month in tax revenues, translating in up to 450 billion a month if the tax collector is to meet the minister's ambitious target. Chalo says people should know that there is potential in the MRA and that it can collect more than it is currently doing.
People should know that there is potential here, that we can collect more than what we are doing. We simply need to strengthen and enhance tax collection, measures. You've rightly heard when I was sharing with them that we need to expand the tax-based collection. For example, I've told MRI that we need almost each and every business to use EFD's machine, because that's when we can be guaranteed in terms of tax collection. I have also indicated here that it is of no use of having businesses run where there is no EFD and the business doesn't even operate a bank account, because once you are operating a business, you have a bank account, it will be easier for us as MRI and government to calculate and get tax from you, because we'll be able to get information from your bank, but also information from EFD. We've also told them that time has come for them to actually engage into radical measures and doing business unusual. They need to explore within the region, in Africa or beyond Africa, how we can have systems that will make sure that nobody evades tax. And that we are going to do. So obviously, we want to do things differently. We want to make sure that we enhance domestic revenue collection. If we have very good systems, we can be able to triple or double tax collection in this country. We need also to appeal to Malawians. A very patriotic Malawian is the one who is tax compliant. We want to make sure that everyone pays tax and that nobody evades tax. And my ministry will make sure that it supports Malawi Revenue Authority to make sure that everyone who evades tax is taken to book, but also that those that have got accumulated arrears on tax are put to an earlier and time where we can discuss with them for them to actually clear their arrears.
MRA Commissioner General John Biswick says the target is realistic considering the potential that the authority has.
It's realistic when you consider the potential that we have. I'm sure he didn't say tripling this year, but he's talking about tripling maybe after we implement certain reforms. So I'm sure it's realistic. We can achieve that over a period once we implement the reforms which we have in place. We are looking at full implementation of the Jenko 9, that's our integrated tax administration system, which will look at the taxpayer with a bird's eye view. So we'll be looking at a taxpayer in terms of all the taxes, not just one tax. That is key because it will also assist us to manage compliance for each taxpayer. Yes, that's one of the challenges. Until we implement SOC Online, one of the challenges we have is that we are using several different systems to manage a taxpayer. So, and these systems are not talking to each other. So once we deal with that, I think that's something that we'll be dealing with. But in general, the perception where people don't want to be tax compliant, as we are aware, in most countries, people actually rush to be tax compliant. But here in Malawi, it's a different situation altogether.
Tax expert Emmanuel Kaluluma believes it is possible given enhanced efficiency and eradication of corruption at the authority.
The electricity generation company Egenco has indicated that it is facing a formidable hurdle in its quest to advance electricity generation and meet the rising energy demands of the country. This follows revelations that the company has lined up a number of projects aimed at increasing the country's electricity generation capacity. Matson Chitao is Egenco acting chief executive officer.
Basically, as a Jenko, we are looking at a number of projects. First one, as I mentioned, we are expanding the Chimwemwe power plant in the north, which is currently 4.5 megawatts. We want to increase generation there to 9 megawatts, so we'll add another 4.5 megawatts. We will expand our intake and bring more water to the powerhouse and put new turbines there so that we're able to generate more energy for that power plant, from that power plant. We're also looking at putting a solar power plant in Salima at Nanjoka. That one, we've done feasibility studies. We have a contractor, and very soon we'll announce the date for launching that project. We'll be launching it, I think, maybe next month. We'll launch that project. So therefore, we should have more energy from solar added to the grid from our solar project. We are also looking at the battery-based energy system, in short, which is quite base. That one, we want to utilize our energy because basically in the night, every night, almost from 8:30, 9 o'clock to around 3 a.m., we switch off some generators because demand is low. People are sleeping, not using the energy. Yet our turbines are running, so we are switching them off because nobody is using the energy. We want to utilize that energy to charge batteries in the night, and then when there's demand in the morning, people have woken up, they want to maybe start cooking, switching on their geysers, and they want to go to work. We switch them on and add more energy to the grid so that we have enough energy during peak hours, like in the morning as well as in the evening. So that's another project which we are looking at. And our technical team is working on the ground to ensure that we have good specifications and put up that facility in our power plants along the Shira River because we want to be closer to the generators. And thirdly, we're also fourthly, we're looking also at other projects which we are exploring in the north at the Rambaz River. A team will be going there on the 30th of October. They'll be looking at 3 sites to identify maybe 1 or 2 potential sites where we're going to put new power plants in the northern region. So those are the key issues we want to do as a Jenko as of now. For the solar, because it's completely now assessed and we have a contractor, it would cost about 15 billion to put up that power plant in Salima. For the others, we are still doing the technical feasibility studies, so we'll be able to cost them later on and give actual costs. Similarly, Chimwemwe is also done. I think it's about 15 million US dollars. So we also need that kind of money to expand Chimwemwe. But for the other 3 which I've mentioned, they require us to do the assessment and also come up with the cost. Yeah, as a company, we are looking at diversifying our energy source. As we have heard in the speech, we have now signed an MOU, a framework with the Geothermal Development Company of Kenya, GDC. We want them to come and help us to explore the potential of using geothermal because we have a number of hot springs in Malawi. We have about 66 sites in Malawi of hot springs, but not all of them have the potential. So I look at those which have potential. For example, at Chiweta, we have a good hot spring, which water comes from the ground at 6 degrees. We have another one at Kasitu, and another one at Nkorawora Boma. So we're looking at all those to explore if they can give us energy from geothermal and add it to the grid. So that's one area. And the other is we're looking at solar, potential of solar. At Salima, we'll put a 10 megawatt plant. That will be done modularly. We'll have a 10 megawatt as an initial, then we'll be adding, it will reach up to 50 megawatts solar power plant. And we'll be adding a battery based also that side. So we'll have the solar PV as well as batteries so we are able to have a smooth flow of energy into the grid. Apart from that, we're adding more hydros from the Shire, now looking at Bua River in Central and Wambazi River, so that will come from hydro. So we're diversifying in that manner as a company. The key issue which we look at now is the financing. That is a key issue. I think what we are looking for is to find partners who can finance our projects, whether from development partners outside or from within the country. So we are able to have enough finances and put up these power plants as soon as possible, start working on them, and create more jobs and also create more energy for the people of Malawi.
President of the Renewable Energy Industries Association of Malawi, Reyama Susten Chigalu, expressed concern about the paradox facing Malawi's energy sector.
This is a paradox and a puzzle in Malawi. When you meet big investors, they say it is Malawi that is a problem to receive the investments. They say they have got billions of dollars to invest in Malawi in the energy sector. Players in the energy sector in Malawi, they complain that the funds are not coming in to invest in the energy sector. Therefore, we need to sit down to unpack the challenges and the opportunities for both investors and financiers, as well as our project developers, to say where is a missing link. Is it that maybe we are not writing proper business plans and business proposals? Is it that maybe the financiers or indeed the investors, they see the market as risky? So we need to sit down, unpack and find, you know, a solution where each one can see to it that indeed here is opportunity to invest in Malawi. But all in all, Malawi is actually a high opportunity area to invest in the renewable energy sector. We are talking of less than 20% of the population connected or have access to electricity. It means the 80% is a market that anyone else can tap in. So let's bring in the resources, let's put up innovative business plans, mitigate any investment risks, and bring in the finances to catapult our energy sector. The current regulation of energy sector somehow is a bit outdated. It has to catch up with the current trends. So, for example, we talk of there are sustainable energy systems that are being developed off-grid. We want to have these systems being integrated into the national grid so that people can generate electricity even with 2 panels at their home, export this and get net metered into the national grid and generate income at the end of the day. Secondly, again, we have seen that there are a number of investors that would want to invest in the Malawi energy sector. But the reality is very few are investing. We have to ask questions on what is stopping them from investing in the Malawi's energy sector. So the regulations must be open, transparent, and conducive for anyone who would want to invest in the energy sector as well as in the renewable energy sector. As a country, we need to indeed diversify our energy sources for the reason that the times we are living in are very difficult times because of climate change. You cannot have or you cannot rely on one energy source because you don't know what climate change could do to that. We have seen actually cyclones hitting our major sources of electricity that are actually operated by Egenco on the Shire River. So first thing is, well, maybe we have to look at diversifying into solar, just like some companies have already invested and some are investing in the solar power plants. We have to as well explore other passive alternative energy of sources, geothermal, wind, biogas to generate electricity, and as well even to explore storage of that energy when the energy has been generated. Perhaps we need to keep it, we need to store it, not just temporarily, but you can even keep it for a longer period of time. The other areas of actually diversification of energy is in other infrastructure, how we run our companies and industries. Look at transportation. We have to look as well as how can we diversify our transportation from fossil fuels running on diesel and petrol to other energy sources. So we are seeing on the market coming in of electric vehicles. We need to promote that type of diversification, because at the very same time we are diversifying our energy sources.
This is Business Time on Times. We'll be right back.
Ku Malawi timanena kuti chuma chili mu nthaka, ndipo izi ndi zoona. Mutha kuziona zimenezi paliponse. Dzina langa ndi Chris Gadimani, ndipo ndimayang'anira banja langa pogwira ntchito ku Galamax Macadamia Nut Farm. Zonse zimayambira pa Nazale pano. Timasamalira mphukira kuti tikwanitse kudzala mitengo yambiri. Mitengo iyi ikakula, timasankhamo mtedza wabwino kwambiri okhaokha. Timafuna kuti mtedza wa Macadamia wa ku Malawi uzidziwika kuti ndi wabwino koposa. Chilichonse pa famu pano chimagwira ntchito kuti zinthu ziziyenda bwino. Mitengo yathu imayeretsa mpweya. Njuchi zathu zimathandiza mitengo kubereka zipatso. Amayi amundera amakolola uchi m'ming'oma. Ndipo ndalama zina zimathandiza sukulu ya pafamu pano. Timaphunzitsa ana zonse zokhudza mtedza wa Macadamia. Tikakolola kwambiri timalembanso ntchito anthu ambiri. Ndimakhala onyadira kukhala nawo otenga mbali mu zimenezi.
From the soil comes endless possibilities. Growing crops, growing jobs, growing Malawi. Your money invested for the good of all. We call this creating mutual futures. Old Mutual, let's do great things every day.
Secretary for Energy Afonso Chikuni has said at 20% energy connection, Malawi is the 4th lowest country in as far as energy connectivity is concerned. Chikuni was speaking in Lilongwe at the start of a 3-day regional energy stakeholders meeting. Our reporter Taonga Sabola has the details in this report.
Speaking in Lilongwe on the sidelines of the Southern Africa Power Pool Roadshow, Secretary for Energy Afonso Chikuni said through collaboration, Malawi should be able to grow its energy connectivity.
Currently, at nearly 20% connectivity to the country, we are the lowest connected, maybe the 4th lowest connected in the world, if I'm right with the statistics. So we should work very, very hard to rapidly change the outlook. So infrastructure is key to making that reality, to making that come to reality, and we hope that with proper planning we should have the investments that are required. The South African Power Pool Roadshow, as you've heard, it's not the first roadshow in SADC. In 2021, the Council of Ministers for SADC commissioned this program to make SAP known to the region. So as you've heard from the Secretariat, they have been in many places in the SADC region, and this week they are with us in Malawi. Next week they are off to Botswana and Mauritius, and the objective of these road shows is basically to make known to the countries, to the communities, that there is South African Power Pool, and the objective of South African Power Pool is to integrate the power sources in the region with the aim of bringing in reliability, sustainability, and eventually to make sure that we have sustainable lower tariff for the public. Meetings are collaborative meetings. They are not the end on their own. They're a process. Eventually, as you know, that we're getting 120 megawatts from Mozambique. We'll start with 50 megawatts in a couple of months, maybe just beyond December, we'll get 50 megawatts from Mozambique. And these are the outcomes of South African Power Pool. They have done the investigative studies to make sure that each one of the countries in SADC have appropriate source of energy.
Eskom Chief Executive Officer Kankwamba Kumwenda said his institution is banking on the Malawi-Mozambique interconnector to become an active member of the Southern African Power Pool.
Yeah, as you are aware, Eskom, our mandate is to transmit, distribute, market and buy power. So being part of SAP, as of now, we're not active, but after the integration of the Malawi-Mozambique will be an active member of SAP. The idea is that we should be able to buy power. As of now, we're only buying power from local producers. But going forward, the idea is that we should be able to buy power from other regional players. I'll give you an example. The time that Kapichira was offline, we had the numerous load shedding. But if we were connected to the SAP network, we should not have been having blackouts, because we'll be able to buy power from Mozambique and other surrounding countries. So that's the essence that we want to join this international market. If you buy, if there's excess, then we'll also be able to export to other countries. So the idea is that there are countries, Tanzania, Zambia, who have excess power. So the idea is that the other countries like Malawi, where we have deficit, we should be able to buy from these countries so that there is no shortage of power within the region, within the sub-region. There are several regions. Well, what we have here is the Southern African Power Pool, then there's the Eastern Power Pool. If we join to Tanzania, then Malawi will also be part of the Eastern Power Pool. So in other ways, what we're doing now is we want to make sure that within Africa, there is no shortage of power. We can buy from anywhere else. That's the essence of this. Now, this gathering here, the road shows, we want to, or SAP wants to sensitize Malawians that there is this opportunity. Even banks, other producers, it's not only Eskom. If there's a producer who is producing power within Malawi massively, they can join Power Pool on their own right, not through Eskom. So that's the reason why we want to engage investors. They should invest in power sector in Malawi and be part of this Power Pool. Yeah, the Malawi-Mozambique interconnector, the initial plan was that we should be able to energize in December, but the contract has some challenges in terms of materials and the mobilization of contractors. So tentatively, we want to discuss with them that maybe they could shift it, or they are actually demanding that they shift it to March, April. But we've told them to stick to the deadlines.
Southern Africa Power Pool Executive Director Stephen Diwa said there are many opportunities for being an active member of the Southern African Power Pool.
Opportunities for those that are not actively involved is for them to prepare and to be ready when the time comes that they will be participating fully. In other words, we know that Malawi is getting connected through the Mozambique-Malawi interconnection. What we want is by the day that line gets interconnected, all the power producers that are in Malawi should be able to produce enough power to supply the needs of Malawi and also to be able to export to the region. The benefits are that you will be able to, usually when you do power generation projects, you end up with excess initially as you try to catch up with the increase of demand. So interconnecting with other members allows you to be able to trade that initial excess and make money out of it instead of that power just being wasted. Also, if you have need when you take out generation for maintenance, you'll have an opportunity to be able to buy from your neighbors.
Currently, Malawi has embarked on a number of initiatives, including independent power producers, to grow its power sector.
Well, with that item, we've come to the end of today's edition of Business Time. It is a magazine program where we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country. On behalf of the entire production team, I am Chimwemwe Mangazi. But always remember, if it doesn't make money, it doesn't make sense. Bye for now.
Brought to you by Old Mutual. Creating mutual futures, your money invested for the good of all.